Was the best guy around.
What about the people he
muted?
What?
Muta!
No, it sounds funny, but I just can't stand the pain. Girl, I'm leaving you tomorrow. Seems to me, girl, you know I've done all I can. That's why I'm easy, easy like Sunday morning. Mute.
Oh, there we go. That was me singing, of course, which I don't do. I love being a performer and a ham and all these terrible things. So I'm not embarrassed by that, but I recognize how out of key it is. Hello, everybody. Oh man, thank you so much for coming out. We are live 3 minutes after the airing. You know, we taped the show a little bit before. We may have been done an hour ago. Got in a cab and got into a better chair, and now I'm here. So I finished taping. I did see the back end of the show, and now I've asked some friends here. So if we could just open up, let's just pour it in here. I know we have Courtney Cronin, Marcel Louis-Jacques, David Dennis Jr., and who do we? There's Langston too, and Harry Lyles Jr. We got people pouring in now by the hundreds. Courtney, I'm looking at you, and I know. No, Langston, you're not on mute. We don't want Langston on mute. And is that Tober? I look at it now. I see Pop.
There's October in the back.
October back there too.
Carolyn.
No, Carolyn's there too. Okay, so now you're meeting the Dennis family. I need to say that to our many people who are coming in, George. And you're saying Harry Lyles Jr. and Marcel Louis-Jacques. It's possible they too just jumped off a Call of Duty stream. And you're seeing Courtney Cronin. It broke my heart. I have to say this right from the start. To not have 30 people on the show, or 22 is the number we're at now, to not have on this last show. It was a heart-fulfilling moment the last week, of course. But I needed to get on here as soon as possible and talk to my other people. So let's go around the horn. We're going to have a chance to take some comments and talk to all of the people who have joined us. And we're so happy to see everybody pouring in here. This is my first time doing this, so bear with me, but I'm just inundated with comments. But Courtney, I want to, again, thank you for your 3 years. It's been a joy getting to know you and become a friend with you. And I just want people, as I see the comments, Courtney looks great. She always looks great. Thank you very much. Marcel looks great. Langston and Pop and Tober look great. Harry looks great. Courtney, did you watch the show? I'm not sure.
I did. I was in Minneapolis for a wedding, and I made sure that we were back at the hotel in time to take in the whole final episode. I mean, the cold open.
Yeah,
40 out of 10, no notes. That was absolutely perfect to get everybody at the Seaport involved and to show, like, you know, a lot of people don't see how many people it takes to make that show work.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, that's the truth.
The one thing I'll always express to people when they ask, you know, how does Around the Horn work? What is the process like? I'm like, it doesn't last 23 years unless it's a well-oiled machine. And it has been that from like long before any of us were panelists. And, you know, to see those people that like I've had a chance to get to know at the Seaport, you know, filling in for you when I was there, doing First Take, those people help all of us do our jobs, look good and sound good. And it was so cool to see you acknowledge all of them as you were walking in. And that was just beautiful.
I mean, that was the goal of, you know, I've had this in mind, of course, for months, because I did it once before as a anniversary present to the show. This is my favorite movie. No one's surprised by this, but this is my phone. Goodfellas. And in the Goodfellas, there are now many movies have a tracking shot, and I could have done any of them, but I'm still partial to this Goodfellas. And we procured the music from the movie that we were able to roll into the background. So I wanted to do something I love and that is creatively in my head, but the goal is to show everybody, because you don't make a show with 4 or 5 people, and I'll talk to about our technical crew. Our editorial team is shockingly just 5 people, but the crew who are working cameras, they're just as part of the show. Of course, everyone knows that. So I wanted to show them, and I was able to do that with the walk. But I did have that special guest. Did I tell you guys, or was it a surprise to you who our special guest was? Harry, did you know?
Surprised, I didn't know.
Yeah. David, did I mention to somebody that my family, we are Liberty lifers, and we're big Liberty fans. I took them to the championship game, of course, which was a great moment in our lives. But we also went to the finals 2 years ago, which they lost, and I made Francesca stay for the trophy presentation, through the tears. But Ellie the elephant coming to the show, because I wanted to say the dad joke, and now we acknowledge the elephant in the room. Did that go over well? I mean, did it lead to a laugh? Did anybody,
It was good.
Yeah.
It
Marcel,
was. Once
yeah.
my
I never known
eyes
about
cleared
that
up.
mascot.
You didn't know about the mascot, Langston. You gotta get up to speed on an Ellie the elephant. She is the best dancer out there in the game. She's the best mascot in the game, and I think the Liberty have the best in-game experience. I don't know, you guys. I've gone to 1,000 games in my life. I mean, I covered the Yankees home games for 3 years, so that puts me up at 250 already. And of course, I've gone to many fan, and then I did. I've gone to whatever many games, but the best game day experience I've ever had was at a Liberty game. So that's part of it. I'm talking too much about stuff that's in my head now, but because I'm still walking on air from the show. Marcel, you had such a great FaceTime earlier this week. I want to congratulate Marcel for the highest win percentage since getting married. So guys, we celebrate our wins here. I feel like we professionals in the world, and I'm applying this now to all our viewers, and I'm seeing the comments coming in. We're going to get to you guys in a second. We see our athletes and our idols celebrate first round wins, second round wins, Eastern Conference Finals wins, and they deserve that, and it's awesome. I saw Patrick Beverley get on the scorer's table for winning a play-in game, and people made fun of him for that. I see it a different way, or at least in our life, we need to celebrate our wins for it. For me, we can talk about we're saying goodbye to something. This was a triumph, this show, and I wanted to celebrate, and I feel like celebrating. So that's why I wanted to see all you guys right now. So, Marcel, what's cooking in your mind right now after watching the last?
I mean, I texted Harry about 8 seconds into the show, into that open, and I'd held it in all week, all month, like ever since the phone call from Aaron. I'd held it in, and just something about seeing all these people who, as Courtney said, man, like the show literally does not go on without them. Like the number of times Josh has just saved me in a hockey segment, in a WNBA segment, in a anything segment with like a hey, by the way, like here's this stat, or
yeah,
just in case you didn't have anything. Hey, how you looking? Like he'd text me after production call. Hey man, like do you need to go over any? Like it just showing them and seeing their face, it just somehow like made it even more real. And it melted. There's so many of these moments. Jackie's FaceTime, my God, putting the mute button on the ground, everybody ending at 30,
what that is?
like,
I always love when wrestlers did that. David, you're a big wrestling fan, right? I mean, but even wrestlers that are NCAA wrestlers and Greco-Roman, they put their wrestling boots on the mat and they call it. I always love that.
Put the boots in the middle of the ring.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So
like
that's what I was trying to cook with
like
there.
Riggins leaving his cleats on the field, like
Yeah. So there was, I've thought about this day for a little while, right? I mean, so I wanted to do some of those things. So that's what I did. David, another moment for our show in the last couple of weeks was seeing Langston, which we put on the internet, and seeing October, which we didn't put on the internet, but that was another great moment. And seeing, the pride you have to be their father, but let's flip that around and how proud they were of you. Seeing you on TV. This is one of the things that I love, because we start with you guys, because you're the guys who grew up with the show, and then you came and made the show even a bigger family and made the show even a better around the horn. And I love that about working with young people. But, your kids got to see you on TV. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we're here. We're in Houston right now. We were having lunch for my nephew. He's graduating high school. and everybody sort of cleared out at about 3:58 Central Time. So they cleared out, and so we saw the NFL Live lead in, and then Carol and Langston October hung back, and we watched the intro, and they just hugged me and loved on me while I had my moment for that, which was special. But they were actually not at the last taping that we did, because Langston was getting his awards for like honor roll and all that stuff. So they had to be there and cover
that's
that
what
me.
I want to hear, Langston. All right, good. There we go.
Yeah. And so, and it's just the what I loved about this ending is that this is a show about writers and columnists, and they ended with the most beautiful columns of their careers all in there. And I think
you're right. Thank you for pointing that out.
It is a beautiful farewell. Yeah, it's a beautiful farewell, and also a reminder of what the show was built on and what ESPN as a network was built on, and what's a lot of folks will be missing out on from that. Marcel, you're my guy. I love you, dude. Courtney, I love, we came in basically the same time. When I saw your farewell, I saw you had like 40 fewer appearances than I did, and like 5 more wins. Tony, we gotta work on that.
All right, good.
I will be
Okay.
I want to get to the. We got to get the people some dirt
on June 1st.
Yeah. Well, Belichick, we got to.
I'll be back on June 1st when Belichick says no. I'm back on this stream, Tony.
All right. Well,
and Harry, you're the only person. Oh, Harry, you're the only person I'm undefeated against, because we never got to do a show together.
That's right.
We're both in Atlanta.
So you're both in Atlanta. So we got some good heart, and I appreciate you guys. And Harry, you can go there too. But the comments are rolling in. A lot of love, a lot of thank yous. I'm going to start reading them one by one in a second. But I think we need to give people a little dirt or some of the fun stuff. What's the memory, Harry? You could start us off. It could be pre-show, middle show. It could be a debate that was on air, but you remember either feeling a certain way, feeling like I want to get out of the chair and go strangle Woody Page right now. It could be that, or it could be something else.
I think the only times that I was like, all right, we need to stop with the because Bomani had mentioned this, right? That he had to learn that the show is not actually competition.
Oh, well, I mean, he feels that way. I don't feel that way.
The times that I was like, okay, this needs to be competition is whenever we would start debating anything that had to do with baseball and history. Just because to me, I feel like there are just so many different layers to it. So there was one show, I can't remember which one it was, but I just remember whatever the talking point was, Plashke thought the exact opposite of what I did. And in my mind, I was like, oh no, but like, I'm taking a pound of flesh with me today. Like, I don't care like what it looks like. Like, I'm going to make sure he looks wrong today.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, like, I never, walked into the chair and just was like, all right, like,
This is what people want to know. Courtney, you are an incredible competitor. How seriously did you take it? How many times did you walk out saying that host, he really had it out for me today?
Yeah, I mean, like, I definitely took it way too seriously.
We all did at some point or another, right? I mean,
like,
I felt that. Not that I felt it from you. I'm not saying it. But I was like, yeah, I wanted you to take it seriously, and I also was aware, man, those are moments. I mean, you may have all gotten one call from me, like, oh, I missed it that day. I'm sorry. I mean, I know I did that.
I think the thing that it just shows you, like, we put so much prep and so much work into this, because like, we're all experts in our own area. Like, Harry covers college football like a glove. Marcel and I cover the NFL, but we make sure we all, like, we can talk about any and everything. We're, to me, this is my radio background coming out on TV, because we talk about so much more than our day-to-day, what's in front of us. And the one thing I hope people know is that every episode we do, hours and hours of watching games. Like, I was sitting, like, thinking the other night, whatever the Nuggets game was that, like, went till midnight Central Time, because it was like a 9 p.m. Central tip. I'm like, yeah, people think you're watching sports and you're relaxing, you're hanging out. Like, no, I'm researching. This is work, and you put a ton of that brain power and that effort into every show. And so, like, you just wanted to kill it. You wanted it, like, you have a finite amount of time. Like, this show taught me about self-editing, And that
Exactly.
when I'm
Yes.
there in real time, if Marcel just said something that like I was planning to say in mind, I'm like, shit, I gotta like think really
Whoa, somebody just commented Ben Johnson bust, Courtney.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. We can do some sports talk here.
Me
You know what I'm
too.
doing real quick? We just lost David because he's in the car, and we appreciate that. We can always work in a fourth person in the waiting room right now. I believe we have Jorge Sedano. Is that possible? We can get him in. I know he's got a radio show to do. There's my man. Jorge Sedano is about to go on radio, so we need to get some time here. So, George, love seeing you here, George.
I am literally tearing up. I'm wearing the glasses more so because I don't need to read anything here, but because you made me cry, Tone. You made me cry, Tone.
You know, all emotions are good. So I want you to feel whatever you want to feel. I wanted it to be fun today too. I mean, I know
What was
we were
that?
pouring our hearts out. Harry with Woody 3 weeks ago just broke the seal, and Israel yesterday, and all of us, we could get to that place. I know that, but we're a fun show. We're fun people, and I wanted it to have it in that too. So, George, I was just talking about how competitive some of us are, and I want to know if I ever got a Sedano moment where you were like, I needed more points for that argument, Reali, or if you wanted to get out of your chair and start strangling another paddleist.
Frank.
I mean,
Frank. Oh, Frank. I'm sorry.
Like Isola, that like always happened. Like Isola and I, even in the breaks, for the most part, couldn't be nice to each other very often. You know what I mean? Like, I think there was just this whole Miami Knicks Heat rivalry that dated back to the '90s. I think that was going on there. But I think with you, there was probably. You know, what's funny is that I think when you would mute me, I think you knew when I really had more to say.
Yeah.
Like there were a few times where you caught yourself and realized. Probably from the conference call, you realize, oh, there probably was more for him to say. So you would let me finish my point, which is very kind of you. But yeah, everybody hates the mute the first few times, especially. Like it's the most annoying thing ever.
Well,
okay,
it's right here.
Counter to that though,
but it's
I will say this, George. Counter to that though, not to cut you off, Tony.
Yeah.
Like growing up, like I don't know how Courtney and Marcel feel about this, but like. You were definitely much more like handsy with it than by the time we got on the show. So like my first meet, I was like, "Hey, it's cool, man. Like he's not about to
I don't know
be
what
heavy-handed with it."
I could have gone back. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I mean, it's part of my overall evolution, and I tried to host different shows through the years because I think a show needs to move and be different. I watched some earlier shows now, and I was dropping mutes. Like they were
playing
transmissions.
drums.
Yeah, like I was playing drums.
Like
So, all right, here's a question, and we'll get to the comments right now. But I saw somebody comment this. So, there's Seth A. Campbell. I love Seth A. Campbell. He's always in the mentions. Seth, I see you there. Emmerich Smith, what's up, my man? Woody getting 700 was epic. That's great. Dude, imagine. Yes, dude, imagine. Subscribe, he said. Maybe that's for me. Subscribe to me? Yeah, please, guys, if you're here. And everybody here. Marcel, who do you see as your rival on this show?
My rival, man.
Well, both in. I know it's going to be Harry because you guys are tight, but even when you were in an argument, who do you know was a tough matchup for you too?
Bill Barnwell is always hard because he has so many freaking numbers in his head. Like I know that any stat argument I had cooked up like is going to be useless if I go after Bill. So like I'd have to find an emotional aspect, a human element, or something like that. Like Tim would just subtly make fun of me. Whether it was for a shirt I was wearing or something Kings related, but like, or Kevin Clark to this day, the only time I've actually been legitimately mad at being muted, only time, I promise, only like legit angry. We were talking about it was right after the NBA Finals last year, and we were asking, can the Celtics repeat? And I was saying, the East is going to get tougher. They have to go through the Knicks, which. Yeah, I was right, but
you were 100% right. You were 100% right, my friend.
But I got muted because Kevin interrupted and was like, "Why are we talking about the Knicks? Why are we talking about the Knicks?" And I got muted, and I'm sitting there fuming like, "Oh my God, it's on the next time. The next time I'm on with this show with you, like it's a wrap. It's a wrap."
Courtney, who are your rivals? Oh, yeah, George, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the rivalry that I enjoyed watching the most was really anybody versus Woody. Like Woody, if you were a new panelist, Woody was coming out with his teeth early on and then would start to warm up to you. usually when you would like give him some love throughout the taping of the show over time. But Woody was definitely claws fangs out early.
Yeah.
If you were a new panelist,
Right? He really wanted to mess with you. He told
Yeah.
panelists incorrect information, to look at the wrong spot. Courtney, who are your rivals?
It's funny that George mentions that, because in 2022, Woody and I were in a showdown together, and I picked against Tennessee. I think it might have been like a Tennessee-Kentucky game when they started out like hot that season. And obviously Tennessee wins. And that Saturday night, I'm going to bed. I'm in Dallas for a game, like have to go to bed, wake up early. DM pops up. Woody Page, candy corn. He just had to like stick it to me one last time. I love debating against Frank. Like Frank, he brings out the best in me in terms of a competitor, in terms of making me think on my toes, and in terms of like making me think outside the box of how I want to deliver information. Like he made me better. So I feel like that was my favorite rival, I guess, that I had on the show.
George has got a radio show in a little bit, and Mina also has a chance to be with us right now in only a short time. Do one of you guys, Courtney, Marcel, Harry, can you stick around, come back, or you can sign off right now?
I'm about to say, I will happily tip my cap to the other legends of this show.
All right, Marcel, thank you very much for stopping by today, people. Marcel Louis-Jacques, follow him in all the places. We're going to bring in Mina right now in a second. I'm seeing some comments here. Woody versus Mariotti was the greatest rivalry in the show. I think I agree with that. Woody Mariotti in 2002 to 2009 was flames on the side of my face. Flames. Hey, Mina Kimes. Hi, Mina. How are you?
Hello. Hi. You guys got me on my way to get in my run before.
You're about to get a run in, but what happened now, I mean, I guess everybody who's on this watched the show today. One of the great things, and I felt it, even though I couldn't literally be part of it, was we got tossed to by Mina and by Bill and by Kevin Clark on NFL Live. And that just felt great. You know, it just felt great. No, and of course, Hannah Storm there, who gave me a wonderful shout out, which I appreciate. And I'll send her a note in a second. But Mina, you were in a little box. It was a different style of box, and you got to talk about. So that's great. You know, it's one of the great things. I reference this all the time, but as we started to add panelists, and we went from a show of 6 to 8, and why do we do that? Well, I'm not going to say I'm the only voice involved in this, but I know how I feel. You know, we had Tony and Mike at 5:30, and you had that. You knew what you were getting every day, and other shows had everybody every day. But now let's expand it, and we wanted to be able to. I like families, you know. I want to have a full family. But when you guys get that next show on top of it, when I see Courtney on SportsCenter or hosting First Take, when I see Harry, of course, you know, Saturdays doing college football, and when George is sidelines at a game, and I turn on my radio and George is calling the next game and all these things, and of course Mina, it's the greatest feeling in the world. So I just needed to say that. But Mina, welcome to our YouTube Live here. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe you've done these before. But we're taking the comments here, but I'm asking everybody right now, who did you feel was your rival? Mina challenged the greats every show, no doubt. Brett Baker came in to say, so you challenged the greats. Who did you feel was your rival? Who did you feel you matched up best against? Oh, I'm gonna take them down.
You know, I always joke it's Pablo because we're kind of same age and friends and natural competitors. But to be honest, probably Frank was the person who I feel like enjoyed needling me the most.
Frank has been the most answered panelist. This is great. Yeah.
And not willing, but like we genuinely look at sports in a different way, like, right? So like he would constantly give me crap about the wins are not a quarterback stat thing, or just generally my belief in the power of analytics as a lens to look at football. And I think that made for great sports debates. You know, around the horn, it was not manufactured ever, right? Like we genuinely approached all of these questions from our own points of view, and there were always an assortment of points of view. But Frank was the one, not just because of the needling, but because we genuinely had disagreements a lot of times on the show.
Can I hit pause for a second? This is the great honor of my life here, is that we are about to be happy trails on PTI. Maybe we just were somewhere, but I have a
well, no, it's on now, not yet.
Oh yeah, it's on now, yeah.
So I saw Mike Wilbon on my walk to work today, which was unexpected. He was signing autographs, people. All right. He may even had a security guard with him. And I'm screaming at. I recognize him from a mile away because it was the Wilbon Shuffle.
Here it is.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit delayed, but I'm going to hold this up for people here who are not in the same place at the right time and see what this is.
By the way, did I see Levitard on your
Yeah,
walk?
I'll get to that in a second. Here we go. Maxie. Paper toss.
17 different Around the Horn panelists have substitute hosted this show at one
Oh, wow. 17? I wouldn't have guessed that. Look at that. Face.
Look at that young face. Yeah.
We love you, Tony. Thanks to you and Around the Horn for everything.
There we go.
Tony, I just ran into Reali
Yeah.
a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
Outside the Seaport studio. And I didn't want to get emotional. We had a big hug and he kissed me on my head.
I always kiss him on the head.
See him.
It's a good head.
I'm sorry that everybody else isn't going to see him as frequently. Reali is so great at this. He hosted more shows than Oprah. Okay? So we love Tony Reali. We are friends with a great many of the guests, as you mentioned, on Around the Horn. Cheers.
All right.
Forever.
Well, there we go. It's great being Happy Trails. Let them go to the big finish. Let's stay right here. Okay. And you saw my mother-in-law sending me a nice text message somewhere in there, if you got that. So sorry about that. You nearly got in trouble there. I got in trouble yesterday, guys. I don't know what I'm doing here. I feel I'm not a Luddite at all, but I was trying to do too much. So right now, my YouTube is Team Reali. I'm talking to YouTube. We're going to get Tony Reali. But right now, we're Team Reali. And then I'm on Instagram, and Team Reali on Instagram, something totally different that you do not want to be associated with. And it was like an all-hands-on-deck situation to get that taken down. Okay. I digress. So I got a comment in here about I wish there was a Max Kellerman reference in the comments. I want to talk about this just for a second. We just saw him in the video for Happy Trails, so it just reminded me. I was approaching this finale in a way to talk about how the show got here today. We've done anniversaries where we even invited Max back in our 20th anniversary, and that was great. And anniversaries where we honored Bill Wolf, the first producers, and in this place, I think Max has conveyed enough for me to say he wanted this show to go forward in the way it did. That's not a quote, but that's just getting a general vibe of it. And of course, he was on our big board that we had at the end of the show. And, first 200 episodes, Max Kellerman show. It's the next 4,800 was, I hope to say, your show, guys. George, are you up against your radio time? I'll see if I
got a couple minutes, before we start. I got till 5 past the hour, but
listen, all right, 5 past the hour in the radio time at the top of your dial.
Man. Listen, I just think that, everyone that was part of this show, Tony, and I think Jackie said it best, so I'm not going to say it any better than her. You guys, I've always told you guys created this kind of fun little wacky family, and I think all of us would agree that we're just happy to be part of it. And it stems beyond, the show and what people see on TV. Whenever we'd run into each other out wherever we were, like if I ran into Harry at a college football situation, we'd send you a picture. And Aaron,
yes, I love those. And that's what I've said this before elsewhere, but we've been in the same space so few times. Courtney and I twice, Harry and I once. George,
once or twice,
once or twice. George, I got to go to your house and have dinner with the family. Recently, and that's few. And Mina, Mina held Enzo when Enzo was 1.5 months old for the first time he was really out of the house. Mina was holding him, and that's great. But it's a wedding here and it's an event there. It's shockingly few. Just to get into the comments here, because guys, ask some questions of these panelists. My time asking them questions is officially over. So please let me see. Thank you for bringing intelligence to the show. Yes, of course, we did that. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna look at my phone for a second and see.
You have a text from Kenny Main. He asked me for your number while you were talking. So you have a voicemail from him, by the way.
Please, I was just talking. Mina has until 15 past the hour. I don't know why I'm announcing this to everybody in here. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I want you to be, with Nino. So I think people want to know tell us a story about Tony that we don't know. Thank you, Pugsley. Pugsley is the name of the pizzeria that was just off the campus of Fordham in the Bronx. It's had a renaissance, Pugsley's. Tell us a story about the Tony we wouldn't know. George, you got something?
Let me go quick because I got to go. So
Yeah.
let me be first here real quick. I don't mean to cut the line, but I got 2 minutes before I have to be on the air.
Yeah.
I will just say this. Tony referenced coming to my house recently. He was in LA. We had dinner at the house. Tony came in and was like, lit up my children's faces in a way that very few guests have ever lit up my children's faces. From my 11-year-old daughter, Aria, taking time with her showing him her artwork and all the things she's into, because her and Francesca are very much the same age. And then Matteo and Enzo are very much the same age. And him playing basketball, both indoor with the Nerf hoop and outdoors with the real hoop. It just was an incredible time. And then we got to spend some adult time, me, Kelly, and Tony. And just, it really is, what people see on television is really only 1% of the incredible human being that you are.
Oh, okay, we've done this part enough. I think
but I want people to know.
Mina, talk about my leather pants. So I brought two pants. I brought two pants to the show.
Knicks somehow come back from this, choke job the other day and get to the finals, Tone. Okay, I'm coming to see you in New York. The rest of you, I love you as well. We'll see you
George.
soon.
Have a good show. Mina, talk about how I wear leather pants to weddings. Talk about how I dance with the mother of the groom.
Speaking of that, do you remember where we actually first met?
It would have been at a park that doesn't. What was it, Pablo's? I think it was before that. It was at a park that doesn't exist anymore. It's Domino Park in Williamsburg. Eric Rydholm had made a park with some young do-gooders in the greater community. And
that was great. Yeah.
Yeah, so you and I were together there for a little bit. This is where I told you, I think you could be great on TV, and you went like this, and you avoided it.
Maybe.
All right, guys, we've had enough Reali stories about. I mean, we can put pause on that for a second. There should be an ATH cruise with all the panelists. I'm not going on cruises. Are you serious? Courtney, would you go on a cruise if there was an ATH cruise with all the panelists?
How big the boat is. I can't do one of these. Like,
yeah, that's a good answer.
I can see so. Oh, yeah.
Manageable.
Tony, I'm wiping away tears. I feel that in my heart. Top tips. Ed Francis, today was the first time. I'm 20 years old, coming home from school as a 9 to 10-year-old. So I saw the Morris brothers, because they had just happened to be in studio, Markeith and Marcus, and they said, I watched you growing up when I was a kid, and now they're like at the end of their careers retiring. So I've always appreciated that. How did each panelist get recruited? Okay, this is a good one. Harry, you want to start us off there? I have a version of this story. I know. Let me just start. I'll say Josh Bard is the biggest Harry Lyles fan, and that's how he's like, you gotta. So that's when I started watching tape on Harry. Not that go ahead, Harry.
I mean, I honestly, I don't know how I got recruited. I was on a plane going to, it might have been App State, I think.
And I got a Michigan? DM no, it wouldn't be that long. How long?
No, I wish. Oh my gosh, it was during the COVID year. I was extremely sick. It was the flu, not COVID, because I got tested 4 times. They're like, it's not COVID, get on the plane. So I went, did the game, but got the DM from Aaron Solomon, and I was like, holy cow.
Okay,
like,
so it was a DM out of the blue from the producer. Okay.
Yeah, but I was supposed to, because Eric and them do the the name of it's leaving me now. Productions where like Martenzi was doing work in.
Oh yeah.
And so I had recommended Marcel.
Here for it TV with Jasmine, who is a producer.
And so that's how Marcel did, because I was like, okay,
Marcel, Martenzi, Monica McNutt, who I already had known locally in New York. I was scout. I'm a scouter. This is one of the things, I do the Belichick with the multiple things, and I get them on my face or something like that. Mina was writing business at some point, and that was great. Courtney, did you remember the DM or the call? Or
I was in Bristol. We had like our NFL Nation Summit. This is right after I started, about like a month or so after I started on the Bears beat once I moved from Minnesota. And I was near the cafeteria. Like, I was hosting a radio show, so I went to go grab something really quick. I looked down at my phone, and I have a text or an email from Aaron Solomon about, hey, we would love to have you on Around the Horn. Just so happens we have a studio in Chicago. And obviously I had known that Sarah Spain and I hosted a bunch of radio shows together for the network for like 3 years at that point. So like I'd always watched her on. J.A. grew up watching him. Mariotti, like where I used to intern, was where he would come in after they moved the studio from the Sun Times to do those shows every day. So I was like that's it's like, you know, it's like getting a call from the president of the United States when like
no, it's not
to be on. This is something that really like this is a career milestone sort of thing. So I remember like seeing that. I was like, wait a second, is this real? And I had the call with Aaron like a couple days later, and my first show was June 1st, 2022.
All right. So I know, Mina, you got to go, and I want to make sure you can get on the way. We have a J.A. Adande and a Justin Tinsley getting ready to rip right now. Let's see if there's any Mina-related questions, and you can get her for a 30-second FaceTime right now. Here's a chance. Let Bo in. Oh, is Bo hanging out too? Do we have Bomani in here? Let's see if we can get Bomani in here. Okay, Joon, Clinton, Bomani, and Tinsley in the waiting room. Adande needs video on. Oh, I'm again broadcasting this to everybody, but now you know Adande needs his video on. Courtney, Harry, Mina, thank you so much for coming in here. Feel the love. I hope you get in your menchies today. I've always appreciated that, but most of all, thank you for taking that call from me and taking it was advice, really was. I wanted you to be yourself on TV, and that's not for everybody. That's not easy, right? Being a 1-to-1 ratio may not be advisable. It's what I go for.
I would argue against that. I think you made it easy for us.
Okay, well, thank you for saying that.
And that's part of my gratitude. That's why I haven't stopped crying all week.
Don't apologize for that.
Harry killed us on Wednesday.
I know, my bad,
We're
man.
going to talk more about you guys behind your back now. But thank you, Mean. Thank you, Harry. Thank you, Courtney.
Love you, Tony.
All right. Love you guys. Bye-bye. All right. This is just an amazing thing. You're just seeing all my friends. And I really want you guys to go around the horn with them, with your comments at least. And then at some point, I'm going to get the technology set up where I can get you guys in those boxes, and we'll go from there. Maybe not today, but this is a goal of mine. You know, people had said, I said this in the wrap of the show, you know, have you ever thought about having fans on Around the Horn? I have. I'd recognize it may not be a network's idea of broadcasting, but it would be my idea of broadcasting. And what's next in the world and digital spaces is our ability to do this. So I'm gonna open up my YouTube and my website this week, as I announced, and we're on YouTube Live right now. Please, if you can. This is your boy asking for favors. Subscribe if you can, and check out the webpage where I'll be at some point have the technology from my website to get you with a button click to a forum here where we could be doing some of these things. I want to be talking about the news of the day and going around the horn. I want to be talking about trivia. I want to do trivia with you guys if that's something your game, because I love trivia. I want to be maybe even talking about sportscasting if anybody's in the mood to learn how to be a caster. And about to get some of our new friends in here, but Joon Lee should be checking in any second. I call shotgun on the first fan show. Okay. All right. There we go. Joshua Guy's in there. He called shotgun, guys. If he called shotgun, I think I have to live by that. I'd be up for that T-Bone. All right. Call me real deal. Call me the real one. Yep. Tony, Mike, or the Mad Dog. Who you got? Mad Dog for me. Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing today? I've had a chance to, be very much in his space over the last couple of years at ESPN. That's wonderful. I like Mike too. Absolutely. Grew up on him every day. I mean, I don't think I could say this enough. This is how do you become a stat boy? You listen to Mike and the Mad Dog every day. You don't go on a date in high school, and you read the Gray's Sports Almanac. Basically, my version of it, whatever it was. I was studying my stats every day. Bring the show to TSN-A. Okay, I mean, Canadians are some of the greats of this planet. Love my Canadian friends. Tony, how do we reach out to join Team Reali and help with behind the scenes? Things are moving too fast. I'd love to be on the show. Love chatting with you on Twitter the last few years. Guys, I want to be honest. I've loved chatting with you on Twitter. I know some people have a different view of that, and it's a tough place if you haven't built – if your jacket doesn't have motorcycle pads in it. You got to have a thick skin sometime. I don't have a thick skin. I have a recognition over what my reality is. I know what my truth is, and I could take your criticism and feedback, but I'm not gonna let it. I can let it adapt how I feel. I'm gonna listen to you, but I'm not gonna let it take me down. That's what the space is. Love to be on the show. Good. I really think we need you on Threads, Tony. I'm game to go all in now. People called me a recluse in an interview recently. Whatever, because I didn't do a lot of radio interviews or TV interviews. I was discerning, and I didn't take on the next podcast or show while I was doing Horn. Let me tell you, I'm being honest with you now. I mean, I viewed this job like my children, my child, another child. I gave everything I had to it. I wanted to be true to the audience, you guys, and not add 3 shows and have my attention, diverted from it. I think, I don't know if I have to hit a button. Joon's in. Bring them all in, guys. Thank you. Judy Lee, Justin Tinsley, Clinton Yates, my man, is in an Uber. But I see you loud and clear. We'll work through that delay. There's Tim.
My man, Reali. What's good, brother?
Man, we love you, Justin. Joon, I got to see in person today. He was on set, and one of the people during the Goodfellas walk where I got to say, Clinton, every time I come here, every time, don't you work? I was able to say that to Joon. This is a trivia question that will go in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame. Who did Reali utter that to? Joon, Pablo, Monica, and Dan Levitard, who was totally in character, looking very, very mafioso while he was in it. So Dan, is a friend, and he was helping me imagine that this could be something we could do today. I have no idea if people would come to a YouTube Live. And so he's talking me through that while he's on a plane. I didn't ask where he was going. He was coming to see me, I mean, that's ridiculous. What a friend, right? The Tinsley family is beautiful. I agree wholeheartedly. Huey and Veda and everybody. Are we seeing the family? Is that what it was? Or is somebody just coming in? The Cuban Mafia? Yeah, the Cuban Mafia.
Yeah, well, Huey's right here. Say hi.
My man!
Aww, say hi.
So cute.
Hi.
Uncle Tony Baloney.
Veda, say hi.
Veda. Oh, my sweet baby. Here. Veda, I want to kiss those cheeks.
Hey, you come get her right now. She going crazy. She's ready to eat. We're over at the food hall, so I'm going in and out of mute, so I don't want to disrupt anything.
I've been trying to work people in here. We've got a lot of heart. You can say whatever you want, but you've said some amazingly heartful things. I want some dirt for the people out here. I want to know who you think your rivals were, and who did you match up with well? Who do you think you owned head to head?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, in my head, Woody was my rival because I always told him I was creeping up on his all-time wins total.
There's a certain degree of creep there.
Yeah. But I always loved going up against Isola because Frank was one of the first people I met in the industry back in you remember when All-Star was in Toronto in 2016?
All-Star Toronto. I know this story. You're telling me. I'm telling you like I was there, but he was you. Your story, please.
Yeah, I love that guy. So he was always fun. It was always fun to do the trauma bonding over the Dallas Cowboys with Tim Cowlishaw. That was fun. One person I never got a chance to go up against was Bomani. I thought that would have been fun.
Oh, you would have loved that. Now,
yeah.
I mean, that is a man who took it seriously. I hope we get Bo in the waiting room. He should be here any
minute.
minute.
That would have been fun.
Real quick, Joon, I need to say this. I saw in the comments, Joon Lee's YouTube channel slaps. And that is absolutely true. I am Joon Lee.
Thank you.
Go ahead and subscribe to that. While you're there, this is my first go around. I don't know how to ask for it other than to say just please. Bomani's lost in the chat. He doesn't know how to get in here. Please subscribe while we're here. Joon, I just sit still for a second. I want to get in that, but I know Clinton's in a car, which means he may be moving and popping. Clinton, all right, talk to me about your rivals on this show. Who'd you like matching up well against? Who'd you want to take down? How many times did that host screw you over? Please give it all.
So I was watching old Before the Horns, and I learned that I had an 11-1 record against Izzy Gutierrez in Showdown.
Oh, that is ownership.
I was like, oh my God, I had no idea that kind of dominance was part of it. And my favorite part about the matchups was, Timmy and I had a relationship different than a lot of other people because we did the Halloween show together, and we were the only two-person shot in the history of Around the Horn.
And you know why that was a perfect shot, right? Remind people what the Halloween costume was.
It was the day after the Washington Nationals won the World Series, and it was Old Town Road, Lil Nas X, and he was Billy Ray Cyrus. And so we had these goofy cowboy hats on and these ridiculous shirts, and he was sitting right behind me. Am I right behind me? I mean, right behind me.
Like you guys were on a horse together, and you were on the front of the horse, and the horse is in the back, and the cow.
It was close. It was crazy. So the point, I'm cutting in and out, but the point is that when we came down to our final matchup, we were tied, and I won. So I got the lifetime victory award against Kalishaw, which was fantastic. So
that's great.
I
So people are coming in the comments. Clinton's rivalry
just
was with Courtney Cronin. Clinton's pencil and his rivalry. That was, that was a good rivalry. That was a team. That was Dwayne Wade and LeBron. Was Clinton the pencil? We always appreciated that. No, Yates is just in an Uber. He doesn't have a driver, please. He's been on a heater. Everybody check out.
I don't have a great connection, so I'm going to crap out.
But
listen, it's good to see you all. I love you guys, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you for braving the Wi-Fi at least there a little bit. Joon, I'm going to get you now real quick. And then I got Bomani and J.A. in a moment. So hang around for that. We're going to say hello to Joon Lee here. Joon, you and I have bonded in a number of ways. You have shown me the way of YouTube. So now this is funny that I'm doing a YouTube live. Perhaps
it's great. No, it's perfect.
Yeah. I think you see downfield both in sports and in journalism and also in the greater industry better than anyone I know. So I admire you for that. Can you talk a little bit about what is different between what you were doing at Around the Horn and now what you're finding in YouTube?
I see it all kind of fitting together because I think when I was growing up watching the show and this show, I've told you this a million times and I tweeted out a probably slightly self-indulgent thread on Twitter about how much the show means to me. But, the show really changed the way that I view sports because I think the way that you and the panelists were able to engage sports as more than just the wins and losses really meant a lot to me. And I think it helped me see the way that sports fits in within like larger American culture and how important it is for shaping these like discussions we have about, what it means to be a person in America today. And so, I think played a huge influence in the way that I'm starting to approach the YouTube channel because, I see sports as this like massive gateway into this world that I feel like is getting smaller every single day as we're, getting more online and more people, around my age are following soccer more than ever before. And more people around the world are following American sports now. And I see
your last one on soccer was great. Your numbers were enormous on that too. Not to make this about the analytics of it.
Yeah, and I got a video on Kylian Mbappe. I profiled him back in 2017 when he was at PSG and just started out. And this is all before he won the World Cup. And he's in a fascinating place right now that I think is a universal story of like dreaming and having this like vision of what your life would turn into. And Mbappe got to this place at Real Madrid. And now he's, kind of coming face to face with all of that. But I see, the way that sports is headed, I think is going to be much more global. And I think YouTube is going to be at the center of all of that because it's already happened in so many other parts of the internet.
Sports is my religion and you are my Pope. John Steyer said, some people can dream about running for public office, let's say. I always dreamed about being the Pope. Job just got filled. That's one of the things that I regret. But man, I would be doing. This is what I'm gonna do my YouTube page on. My first 5 videos are gonna be on Pope Knows Ball. Joon. This is my favorite story in the world. It never occurred to me that a Pope would have a life before being Pope. I don't know how that sounds. For the first 1900 years of the job, you just were basically sequestered away for your whole life. And then more recently, JP2 skied beforehand. And then, Francis most recently was a bouncer. But the idea that this guy went to Villanova just blows my mind.
But that's the internet, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like I have a Facebook account dating. I have a Facebook dating back to 8th grade, 7th grade. Like my life has been documented way more. And my sister, she's 8 years younger than me. Her life has been way more documented. Like we're going to start seeing presidents at some point in our lifetime where we literally have like a post that they put on social media or in Snapchat or whatever in 4th, 5th grade at some point in the future. Like that's just the way the world is headed.
All right, Joon, I'm going to have to say goodbye right now. We're going to go to Bomani and J.A. Coming up, we're going to have Aaron Solomon, producer of the program, with Kevin Blackistone at a bar potentially right now. And I see your comments. Guys, I'm happy to send Max Kellerman a text right now. And Mariotti, my most recent contact for him. And I'm happy. I mean, like I told you, I try to talk to everybody. I can find common ground with everybody. Who's the GOAT Pope? Well, not Contavious Caldwell Pope. He's not the GOAT Pope. Bomani Jones, Jay Adande.
Hey.
My
What's
man.
going on, big dog?
Thank you for coming on here and being in the waiting room. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just cooking right now. I'm looking at these comments. People are saying, yay, Bomani.
Well, you think you don't know what you're doing. J.A. ain't got no idea
I
what
really
the hell he
don't.
over there doing. Ain't
This
nobody
whole
more lost than him.
Bomani the God. Love you, Tony, man. Thank
already
you
like,
very much for that.
man,
Punk
can we
burger.
go back? Like we were just on.
Yeah, I know,
So
right?
go
I
back
mean,
to the show.
we are now. We're history. We're literally, now no longer around the Horners. How many times? And there's Aaron Solomon. They're jumping in too.
Hey.
There we go. Solomon and Blackistone at a bar. Real quick, where are you guys? Give a play. No, you can drink
Where
out
are
here.
we? Where are we?
Where are we? It's a good question. That's our producer. He doesn't even know where he is
Beer,
right now.
the beer house, wherever. We're at
The beer house? Up in Shaw?
downtown.
Oh, in downtown. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's always needs to be said is, we were always not always in different cities, but Washington D.C. is where Around the Horns editorial team is. Aaron Solomon is the proud product of that region, and so is Kevin Blackistone. So the fact that they get to live there is so. Wait, now that I got Aaron here, I got to start with the boss. How do you feel right now, man? You just produced a show for 4,953 episodes, but you just produced a little movie, and you signed off. And how do you feel?
I feel pretty good. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little buzzed. But honestly, that's
Mike Smith. Okay.
That show had all the good feels today, and
I feel that way too.
Yeah, and the whole week just had all the good feels, and like with Bomani, that was Bomani was on this week, and it's just the former panelists that we had on this week. I mean that was tremendous, and it just the way I wanted to go out was the way we went out, was just with the good vibes, and everybody having a chance to say goodbye to the show, and it was just tremendous. And especially today, the way we were able to make a line change between segments, and the way you were able to recreate your Goodfellas shot, and the way you were able
Thank you for that. We try. Aaron, I'm not explaining this to Aaron, but I'm explaining this to everybody. I wanted everybody to have an imprint in the finale show of the editorial team.
Yeah.
And of course, but that was my ask. But my imprint, I wanted to be the Goodfellas shot. People giving love to Solomon in the mentions. That's what I like to see here. We're gonna go full on Bomani and J.A. I want the two of them to rip it up, but I got Blackistone here too. Before you guys lose your Wi-Fi, or before we go, what are you drinking, KB? That's the most important question.
This is an Allagash White.
That is your go-to.
And we're doing well.
Yes, you're doing well. So KB joins our conference call, and he's on the bike. He's working out typically. He's putting in a half century or something like that. But he's a man who knows to enjoy himself. And the Newport Jazz Festival got a shout out in the show today, too. That's another thing about him that he loves. Guys, I just wanted to see your face. I know it's hard to hear, and you guys are doing it. So we'll say goodbye to Aaron. Thank you, boss. And KB, thank you, Professor. And now we'll cook it with Bomani and J.A. for a little bit. All right, Bomani. I've been asking everybody as we sit down here.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you feel your rival was on the show? Who did you know? I mean, look, I know what you're going to answer, but I need to ask the question. And who did you know you matched up really well with? And who did you, okay, but be honest, was there a panelist that maybe you were like, okay, now I got to change my game a little bit?
In terms of matchups, I had a buddy of mine who once worked at the wrestling match when it came to the Georgia Dome when I was in college. And he told me that he saw the Big Show. And he said, that's what I knew, that wrestling was fixed. Because if it was real, the Big Show would never lose. And that's how I feel about myself when it comes to Around the Horn. You know what I mean? Like, I was playing against greatness. Like, it was kind of interesting. They sent around a stat sheet today with everybody's stats, and I was looking at my points per game, and I was looking at my showdown percentage. And this was in the later stages of my career. Like, I wasn't even really like throwing heat like I was when I first came out. And I looked at it and I said to myself, I said, self, as I read this, I'm reminded of the thought, imagine if Ted Williams had never gone off to Korea. You know what I'm saying? You know what kind of numbers Ted Williams would have put off if Joe DiMaggio was not, out fighting for our country. He'd have had way more than 369 home runs, or 361 home runs, I believe it was. You know what I'm saying? So I was trying to be the best that I could be. It was like a Buddhist sort of self-actualization sort of situation. However,
Yeah.
with that in mind, apparently my chief rival that I needed to get up for a little bit more.
Tell the story.
You know the story. Somehow the man in control of the points. And I need you to understand something.
Yeah.
I love this opponent to death. I truly do, right? Because I started watching this show as a viewer, and you have your favorites when you're a viewer, and I was kind of the first viewer to get onto the show, and so I had to remember that these people were just like people, you know what I mean? As opposed to like television personalities. And I have come to love Bill Plaschke in a way that I never thought I could have.
So give the stat. Give the stat.
Tony on Tony Reali's card, which unfortunately is the only one.
Right? Yeah.
I have a 3-18 showdown record against Bill Plaschke. Not one person in this chat room believes that I'm going 3-18 against anybody.
Yeah.
3-18. They be shook with Bo Jones pull up. Not Bill Plaschke. No, sir, Bob. Bill Plaschke show up like, look, that's light work over there. That's light work over there.
Bomani is getting to something that is very, very true. The competition in the show. I see the comments coming in here. Guys, ask whatever questions you want. This is your chance to go around with Bo and Jay. We're going to get Jay in a second. But these guys wanted it. They were competitive. I asked them to be competitive. I at times I have to remind them, maybe when I was getting a little bit of a softie at some point, 2020, 2018 to 2022, and we had the pandemic games. Bring it back. Let's get the competition back. But Bomani wanted to win. I've always said to Bomani, to Bo, his face, but I've said this elsewhere, he would be on the Final Four if it was a fight to the death. And Bomani had never lost a sports argument. He just allowed it to end, So that's that. Jay, who are your rivals? Who'd you like matching up with? We know that the answer is, but tell the people your nickname. Yeah.
I got a few things to get to. First, Bo talked about Ted Williams. There was a book by Richard Ben Kramer, and it's crazy because like everything in it, it's like, he went over, fought in Korea, and he got shot down, and he had to recover, and then he came back and hit 340 with 50 doubles and 120 RBIs, and then in the offseason, he broke his elbow, and he came back and hit like 328 and 28 homers. Like, Ted Williams is amazing. Go look him up.
So you understand the analogy, right?
Yeah.
So you see where I was going with that, right?
Absolutely. But it's funny, like, because no one talks about Ted Williams anymore, and like people need to. Because like when I read that book, I'm like, geez, this dude was nuts. But the funny thing, like, it didn't really matter to me winning or losing at first. That's something that actually changed. But because initially, like you referenced it, Tony, like we all got FaceTimes initially, and just the length would depend on how many points you accrued during the show. And then over the years, people would just come up to me and say, how come you don't win on the show? How come you never win on the show? I'm like, it's not like I win 25% of the time. We all do. And so I wanted to win just to shut those people up. And then I got off to a good start against Tim Kalishaw, who we call Top Cat. So I became known as the Top Cat Killer. And then I had to defend that. And he probably got the better of me the last couple of years here. But I will say, I was looking through those stats too, Bomani, and I noticed as it came down at the end, I finished at 26.1% winning percentage. Kalishaw was at 26.0. So I got him by 0.1. And I wanted to make sure that so I wound up beating him by 7, I see here in the notes here. But I beat him overall by 0.1. And that's why I was like, I wanted to make sure we all got credits for wins today, because if it was a loss for all of us, I've done fewer shows. So that was going to mean that maybe my percentage might have changed more than Kalishaw's.
Hey, J.A., let me be real with you. I don't think you understand how disappointed I was on Tuesday that everybody got to win. I was looking forward to dishing out one more L to everybody else. I would have bought I bought the belt specifically for this occasion because I'd raffled off the OG belt about 10 years ago. And so I was like, cool, I'm about to come in here. I'm about to get one more up. Like I looked at who the other people were that was on. They was all neophytes. I was like, ain't no way in the world Tony about to like. I'm not a first generation OG, but I'm like the OG of Gen
Hold
2.
on,
There
these
wasn't no way
cats.
in the world I was about to lose to them. Then they like everybody get to give a FaceTime. I was like, that. I don't think you understand why I get up in the morning.
Jones Wapo, you wound up at like 680 or something shows, something like that.
Yeah, man.
I,
But
I
but
saw
here
that. I was like, wow, you racked
but
up a
but
lot.
but here's why, right? And that's considering that for the last like 19 years it slowed down a bit. The thing was when I first got started, since I was like the radio dude that didn't have like an actual newspaper job, and I'm 30 years old, I don't have a family, and I don't have any money, right? So, when the grown-ups have to go off on a road trip with the team or they got to go on vacation with their families or whatever, that's interfering with their ability to do shows. They sending me that email, what days are you available next week? Open. Open, open. Summertime, boy, I was out there. I was racking up innings in the summer. Yeah, go to Yosemite, go to France, go wherever you want to go. My broke ass is gonna be right here in this chair, racking up shows, racking up checks.
That's funny.
Bomani,
It's
you
all
happy to take a question about life outside of Around the Horn? Someone's
Sure.
asking about how heated it got with JJ Redick, about Coach K and Duke, and how you feel about how it all went down. I mean,
Okay, so that's tricky because this could be. Let me decide how much I want to talk about this because it's an interesting
I'm sorry.
story.
I mean,
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no, no,
yeah,
no, no. It's
yeah,
cool. You're not doing
yeah.
anything wrong.
Okay.
It's an interesting story, but it is begging to be aggregated. What I will say to simply answer your question and not give you the background, it is a great story, but
Good.
it did not get really heated with me and JJ because I felt like somewhere along the way there was a bit of a miscommunication, but we went through the whole thing. Me and JJ was good about that. He came in a little hot though. Like the first thing he said to me was, "If you are implying that Coach in any way was anti-black, that is asinine." And I mean, I've been called a lot of things, man. I ain't had nobody call me asinine in quite a long time. I was like, whoa, got to defuse the situation. And then the situation got defused because I got game. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
But it started off a little hot.
I still remember Bomani's first episode. Woody said, "Hey, this isn't your radio show." That's from
Yes,
Tim
it was.
Spears. Who was
Yes, it
That's
very
very
was.
much
Woody.
Yes, it
that
was.
was classic Woody on
Now,
Adande. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Bo.
I was gonna say, but this is where you got it wrong though, and this is some game that JA put me on to. The thing that made it very interesting doing this show that's different than any other show, and why doing this show could be misrepresentative to you about what doing TV is in general, and you have to adjust is it's almost like baseball. When it's your time at bat, yeah, you're on a team, but you the one at bat, right? Like
Yeah.
whenever your time came around. So it was my radio show whenever it was my turn because that was who I was doing it for. You know what I mean? That was why it was funny he said that. I'm like, no, it was my radio show. Y'all just get to have radio shows too.
Jay,
Now,
we got questions about your time covering
I
the
saw,
basketball teams in LA. Go ahead,
I,
please. Go.
I saw one. I'm gonna respond to it. It said the worst moment covering the Clippers for the Times. Actually, I was already at ESPN when it happened, but I covered that collapse against the Rockets when,
Oh, did they have a collapse? I had no idea. Yeah.
this one in particular when they had that collapse against. So the funny thing is, they blew there. I forget what they were up, but the bottom line is they were still up enough midway through the fourth quarter where I got the producer in my ear and we're trying to determine who we're going to talk to, Blake Griffin for the post-game interview or Chris Paul. And I said, let's go with Chris Paul because he's been in this league longer. He'd never been to the conference finals before. It's going to mean more to him. So let's talk Chris. There's like 5 or 6 minutes left in the game, right? And it was like so clear the Clippers were going to win. We're trying to decide who we want for the postgame. Next thing I know, I'm talking to Josh Smith because he hit all those 3-pointers.
Not even James Harden.
Not even because Harden was sitting on the bench. You talked about this on your podcast recently, Bo. I think with Vinny about but Bo, you left out Dwight Howard was on the bench too.
That's right.
They benched both those dudes, and they came back thanks to Josh Smith, and like it was all discombobulated because like usually we interview them like near their bench or in the middle of the court. And I remember like standing by the Clipper bench because that's where he happened to be or something. It was like last minute, like, oh, let's go talk to Josh Smith. But I'll never forget, 5 minutes left, we go from Blake Griffin to Chris Paul, and next thing you know is Josh Smith. I do remember I'm standing behind the bench during the timeout, and Doc just looks at the guys and he goes, guys, can I swear on this, Tony?
So yeah,
What are
of
the
course you
rules
can
here?
swear. Yeah, of course you
Okay.
can. I mean, I don't know. This is
Doc,
YouTube, but
he
you're
just
asking
sits
me.
down, he looks at him, he goes, guys, what the fuck?
Boy, that's some first class strategy there from Glenn Doc Rivers.
But you know what? I got it because like he cared. It's funny. I remember the intensity doing the third quarter interview with him, and he was into it. And the guys just seemed like they froze. And I think he was trying like it wasn't a lack of effort and intensity from him, but he just couldn't translate that and transfer it to his players.
All right. So texting some. I'm sorry if I'm looking down, but I'm trying to make this thing work, and I don't know exactly how to get people to come in here of our panelists. Israel is just about to be jumping on in a second. Bomani, was Michael Smith's Boston ball as bad as you say it was?
It was. Here's the thing about it. Was it my worst loss? I mean, they're all L's, right? Was it Michael Smith's worst win? Absolutely. Would Tony
Was that the
Reali?
dancing one?
Yeah. So he started break dancing. Like if I were Tony Reali, would I prefer that never like be stricken from the record? Like was that his greatest moment of mediation, adjudication, arbitration? No, it wasn't. But I couldn't believe. In fact, I talked to Smith about this Wednesday, and I was just like, I could not believe that Tony rewarded this behavior. I just couldn't believe it. Just the precedent that he was setting for the show for the rest of time was just kind of. I just thought he had more foresight than that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
like
I was just in awe because I just thought his giggle was so great. He was so energetic.
Because he knew he was wrong.
Yeah, I know he was wrong.
He was wrong.
And then he was saying Boston because he's Boston, but people are like, it's the Patriots, dude. What are you saying? And, Brandon Spikes was the player, Boston ball. Israel Gutierrez, thank you very much. Please drive safely. You see Bo, you see J.A., you see
I will be pulling into a parking spot shortly.
All right. Well, pull into that parking spot with your, and then we'll talk. But Israel,
what's going on?
Oh, now he's out. Oh, what's not going on? I'm just gonna say this out for Coco or Ryan. That day in the life of Reali, is that something we can play on here? I was cooking today. I had the Goodfellas walk. I had the goodbye to the show that I wanted to do, but I also wanted to document what was going on today. I'm one of these guys who has a lot of photos in their phone. You guys know this about me, and a lot of videos in my phone. And I like doing that sort of thing. So I documented today. So Ryan or Coca, tell me if we can play the 3-minute video that I put together of a day in the life of Reali. And when these guys go, when you guys say goodnight, we'll play it when I'm live here. Izzy will be back in a second. Does Bomani have the belt with him? Bomani has the belt with him wherever he goes.
I got this belt. This ain't the OG though. The OG is a much better
Let's
belt.
see the belt. Let me see what we got.
So Bo, you bought a new belt. I bought a rubber chicken for the show.
And you threw it over your shoulder like a pro. Wait, Bomani's getting the belt.
But it got covered when I watched it. It got covered by the graphic with with the stats, so you couldn't really see. So, folks, if you're wondering what I was holding, is rubber chicken. Because Woody, when we started the show, Woody had a barrel full. I saw it one time. I did a shot out of the Denver Post. It was a barrel full of like snakes and rubber chickens and all other just kind of.
There it is. All right, look at that shine. This is not the original. This is
no. The original was personalized. It had my name on it right here. It was more flat on it. But I ain't gonna lie, that one cost like $550 now. And I just couldn't rationalize that. As much as I love this program, I just needed to get the point across. Just a little nostalgia for y'all. You know what I'm saying? But this is actually my favorite part about the belt story, at least for this second belt, was that when I did this stuff with the belt before, I lived in North Carolina, right? Like, I don't think the belt made it with me to Miami. I think I did that all in North Carolina. And so I had gotten this belt, and I was like, well, how am I going to get it to the studio? and I didn't want to carry a bag. And I was like, am I willing to test my belief in New York City that everybody can see you, but nobody's looking? Am I willing to walk down the streets of New York City with a championship belt over my shoulder? Like, do I have the audacity to ride the subway carrying a championship belt? And the answer was no, I do not. I did. I was not willing to go that far.
Oh, we got Israel back. I'm seeing favorite pizza place, Staten Island, Tony. Well, Nunzio's was my favorite. That's now permanently closed. Pizza Town was what I grew up with. They used to deep fry the calzones. This is going way back. These are both on Highland Boulevard. We'll answer more pizza-related questions in a second. Israel Gutierrez has parked his car. Here he is, the king of Halloween and of other wonderful things on this program here. All right,
It's funny how I was talking about authenticity yesterday when I was won Halloween 6 times and being somebody totally fake. But
seven
neither
times.
here nor there.
You know what? Can you got a beard now? I didn't know you could grow one of those.
Whoa!
Well, it's a playoff beard. It's just a playoff
Okay.
beard, and you can't criticize a playoff beard. It is what it is.
No,
Can we just clear up one? Sorry, I just want to clear up one around the horn fallacy or fact error. I've only won 6 Halloweens. Okay, Tim Cowlishaw won that first one as the ghost of Al Davis over Barack Obama. So it wasn't. I didn't win that first one. I just let that be told for the rest of time. Now that the show's over, we know the truth.
You should have won.
Oh, that's a whole different question.
We're gonna go more on Halloween, but let's go sports real quick. Who you got tonight? Knicks, Pacers. You can give me make it a 15-second buy or sell. Who you buying tonight? Bomani Jones around you.
The Knicks.
Oh, go ahead, Iz. Sorry. I know we're on a slight delay with Israel. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I got the Knicks. I've got I don't know. I think it might even be a pretty big gap there. I think the Knicks might win by double figures or so. It's one of those, it means everything. Not that they're going to recover and win the series, but if they don't win this, it might be a sweep. And so I think they take a lead and hang on this time.
Yeah, Adande, buy or sell. Knicks or Pacers?
Knicks. Historically, when teams lose those soul-crushing games, like the Reggie Miller games in the Garden, the team that loses comes back and wins the next game. Fans take it a lot harder. Say, "Oh, how are you going to recover from that?" These are NBA players. They'll recover. They'll be just fine.
Bomani.
I think it's going to be the Knicks, but I got to tell you, I learned last year when I was doing the Allcast for TNT, and the more games we did, the more money we got paid. And I noticed that Minnesota had gotten behind, and I learned right then that you don't want your money depending on how Karl Towns plays and shows up. So for the Knicks, this is going to be a real nerve-wracking sort of process because a lot of it's going to depend on him.
This is it. I mean, I get the energy around blaming Karl Anthony Towns for this or whatever. There have been 3 athletes in this playoff run or the last 2 years that just get, for me, when panelists bring them up, I get ready to take points away. You know, yesterday Clinton put it all on Rudy Gobert with the T-Wolves. You know, I understand he is an important cog in that team. But Anthony Edwards had 1 shot near the basket in game 1. 1. And that just went unmentioned. And now he's starting on Rudy Gobert. And Russell Westbrook was getting the Nuggets. I mean, Michael Porter, come on, go. Aaron Gordon's hurt, but he had won a couple of games, okay? And now Murray's having, his roller coaster games. And Jokic had the 3 worst games of his season. And I'm hearing how Russell Westbrook's their problem. And he's coming off the bench now. I mean, and I feel like Cat gets piled on.
And the minimum guy, barely getting paid. He's the problem.
Yeah.
Brother, I'm not saying that Karl didn't play well in the last game because he did. I'm telling you, it's not a comfortable feeling to depend on him.
I recognize that.
That's all I'm trying to say. I'm picking the Knicks.
The deeper you get in the playoffs, it's less comfortable.
That's right.
All right. Favorite Halloween. Israel Gutierrez, was your best outfit? What did you enjoy doing?
Clearly, it was Conor McGregor. Like that to me was quite the endeavor. It was quite the attempt, and I knew once I had the look right, and it took 7 hours to get those tattoos drawn on me, and then the next morning I had the hair and face and makeup done. Like once I knew the look was there, I was like, if I screw up this Irish accent, I will never be able to live this down. And I think I did pretty decent. I think I did pretty decently, and like Adele was coming for me that day, and I think I held
Well,
up pretty well.
Izzy, what kills me that I caught you at your best, because that was the one Halloween show where I really showed out, and I held help makeup and everything. So I was Odell Beckham, and they got me a blonde wig with that Odell Beckham hairstyle. They had me a little
Yep.
net, so like I could kiss the kicking net. The jet, like they hooked it up. And so that was the only chance I was even going to have a prayer of getting anywhere near you. But then you had to step your game up and come with the paint tattoo with Conor McGregor, and you nailed the accent too. Look at that.
Yeah,
And the
look at
beard.
that.
I mean,
I
that was,
gotta
yeah,
say,
that was
my
prime Izzy.
favorite part of
That
Around the
looks
Horn,
outstanding. That looks
my
outstanding.
favorite part of Around the Horn forever will be the the period between getting there in costume and sitting down in the seat for the first time and having Tony's reaction. That was always
Oh
my
yeah.
favorite.
Well, let me
It
ask
didn't
you
matter
this.
what costume it was.
Let me ask you this: have you ever worn it out after the show and just hung around in that costume for a little bit?
McGregor stayed on for a while. I did. The McGregor one stayed on for a while. I will say, the Rock one. I don't know. There's something about like the chest tattoos I was getting fond of, and so I kept that one on for a minute. In fact, I still have a picture on my phone of my. Yeah, I still have a phone on my picture on my picture on my phone from the morning after of my bed, and it's just black ink everywhere because I slept before I took off the tattoo, and it was just all over the bed. It was gross.
How come nobody's asking me my favorite Halloween
Bomani,
memory?
your favorite Halloween costume?
Oh, that same email I send every year that said I'm not available to do the show on October 31st.
Tony, what's your favorite Italian restaurant to enjoy quality food and vibes with the fam? Well, I'm in Brooklyn. I love Cafe Spaghetti. It's in Carroll Gardens, which is a very Italian neighborhood, or at least historically Italian neighborhood. And Cafe Spaghetti is
There
my
we
spot. There we go. So that was Odell
I brought
Beckham
it
Jr.,
that time.
Melania Trump, McGregor, and Harbaugh. I mean, the Harbaugh really looks good visually as well, right there.
Yeah. It's funny. Michelle Beadle was Harbaugh that day too.
That day too. I bought Frank the steak that he had to eat. It was a $60 steak because we were in Times Square, and I never got money for it. I should hit up ESPN for that. Maybe that'll be something I can get
Was
back.
Sarah Melania the whole episode? She wasn't.
I don't know.
Melania the
No,
whole
she was
episode,
Flo.
right?
She was Flo from Progressive, and she was Melania, and she was something else. But
Adele.
Maybe
Adele. Yeah, that was
the
that
old one.
episode.
That was it. Yeah. JA, were you another? You were Odell Beckham. Did you also? You did another one earlier, right?
The NBA lockout.
NBA lockout. That was a little high concept. I
Tony was not a
appreciate
fan
one
of
high
that one.
concept. Yo, I mean, well, yeah. I mean, it's tough. I'll just leave it at that. I'll take Cat over Westbrook. Yeah, you should take Cat over Westbrook. I'm just saying, Westbrook was getting, I mean, the Nuggets lost because of Westbrook. I mean, he's a minimum player. Six man. I think.
Can I real quick? I have to go in a sec, Tony. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to say something. I'm just very fortunate, I guess, to be on here with Bo and JA in particular because for JA, like I don't know if I told you this, JA, but when I got hired in ESPN in 2012, they had asked me for a few different jobs over the years, and I just didn't really like them. And then they offered me the one that I wanted, and the way they pitched it to me was an East Coast version of J.A. Adande, and they didn't even have to finish the sentence. And I was like, "Oh, fucking course. Like, yes, please. That's what I want to be. It doesn't have to be East Coast, West Coast. That's just exactly what I want to be." And then it was just such an honor, man, to just be able to work with you and do the show with you all that time. And Bo, like, there's nobody in my career that has challenged me as much as you do, even though you have no idea that you're doing it. I don't think. Like, I think you're just you set such a high standard, man. And I just know that not only are you ridiculously knowledgeable, but you just have all the right intentions and stuff. And so, just an incredibly good guy. And I think the third person, if she was here, that I would say challenged me nearly as much would be Sarah. And that was a lot more direct.
Halloween.
But you guys,
for your Halloween crown.
For real, like seriously. But you guys are the best. Like always, like I said, just like I wanted to be like you, JA, and then like Bo, you just, like I said, you set a standard that most of us just hope to be at. And so, been a pleasure, been an honor, and hopefully we can, do something at some point that doesn't have to be around the horn.
Man,
Jackie's trying to get a get together too, though. Go ahead, bro.
no, I was like, I appreciate that. And like the thing I said earlier that's important is that so many of you guys, I had been watching you on TV, even Izzy with you doing sports reporters. I had been watching you guys on TV for years, right? And so by the time Around the Horn calls me, I had already had enough of a time in a career and a brief dalliance with working for ESPN that I was like, well, that's never going to happen again, right? So I had like modeled this career that was based around the idea that I was not going to wind up in this place. And then literally like 2 years later, I'm in the place. Or it's like more like three. Like 3 years later, we're back here, right? It felt like forever, but I'm here. And I'm doing these calls and I'm on with the people that I've been watching on television for like, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years in various cases. That was wild, man. And so one thing I always appreciated about Horn was nobody tried to knock nobody down a peg, and everybody was always incredibly welcoming. And so for me in particular, that was different again because I didn't have the bona fides that anybody had. I didn't even at the time, I think, properly appreciate or recognize how significant those bona fides were. But I didn't have them, right? Somebody just thought this might be a good idea.
I thought I was that one that thought it was a good idea. I was scouting you. I've talked about my time scouting. I loved it. But my favorite part for some time of the job was just trying to find new voices that needed to be out there. I was listening to the radio somehow, getting it from Toronto. Even though you were on the Score, even though you were from North Carolina. Yeah, you were on Sirius, whatever it was. Yeah. I'm like, this is a take that needs to be out there. Guys, I don't want to keep you here forever. But at some
I
point,
just want to say something to Izzy real quick.
Go, Jeff.
It's funny because before you were on, we were talking about rivals, and Izzy and I used to do something called Coast to Coast on ESPN.com, where we take the topic, we debate it, and it's funny, we do it by like BlackBerry Messenger or by like Google Docs sometimes, but we by text. It was like a text version around the horn. We go back and forth and argue, and then we'd send our text chain to them in Bristol, and they'd put it on ESPN.com and pretty it up. But it was just enjoyable. Like it wasn't antagonistic. We poked each other, I think, keeping in the spirit of Around the Horn.
Yeah.
But it was just a pleasure to collaborate on that. Even though it was supposed to be a clash, it really felt more like a collaboration. And so it was just so fun working on those with you, Izzy.
That's great.
But hey, man, before Tony lets us out of here, though, I want to say this. I told Tony this. I said this a little in there, but this is important. Congratulations, man. Like, few of us will ever do anything as lasting, resounding, and impactful as what you have done. We have been part of it, but you have done this, right? Like the circumstances and everything that were created. You and Aaron, and I always say this, you guys completely altered the direction of where my life would go in ways that I, at that time, truly didn't think were possible. And you guys did that, right? And there's a line of people who are in a position to say the exact same thing. And all of us hope in the end in this, right? No matter what it is, that one person can say the sorts of things that a couple dozen of us can say about you. And so for 22 years of this, congratulations to you because you did something amazing, right? And I don't want you or anybody else. I think people who don't work in this industry have a misunderstanding about when something ends, right? And I think that people like have a tendency to view it with some measure of shame or whatever it is. But my guy Rod told me something many years ago about, and this is when High Noon first started. And he was like, "Hey man, I've listened to enough of these podcasts with people who make shows. Getting a television show is so incredible. Every time chance you get to do it is a win, right? The end is not a loss. You're just racking up wins as you go, and then the season ends. And for this one, it was a long run. It's a run that everybody hopes and wishes that they could have. And we won collectively, but we won because you and Aaron and Josh put us in a position to win. And so I want everybody to understand that all of this, the way the show went and why I loved about it was celebratory because that's what it should be. And thank you.
I feel that way too. I feel it should be triumph. I know people are trying to, understand should I feel sad about this? Should we feel sad about this? I do feel, of course.
We got 22 years, y'all.
I mean, I feel
Nobody
that
gets
way. I
there.
mean, come on now. You're talking to, so thank you, Bomani, for saying that. Real quick, someone's asking you your favorite Hawk outside of Neek in the 80s. Your answer.
Oh, outside of Neek in the 80s, quietly was old
Ray
crazy
Rollins?
Cliff Livingston.
Cliff Livingston.
Uncle
Adande, your sneaky favorite player growing up that's not the big star.
Bad Lever.
Oh,
he would get triple doubles for the Denver Nuggets.
For it, I had a fantasy team one year named 40 Ways to Love Your Lever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well
Israel Gutierrez, favorite player.
Sneaky player.
Sneaky player, though. Yeah, I don't want to hear you tell me that it's, whatever.
Glenn Rice.
Glenn Rice. Okay. We're going to lose Israel because his Wi-Fi's done. Bomani, thank you so much.
Before I head out, I want to just say thanks. But I'm looking at the chat, like people saying that they watched our show, like when they were serving overseas, and it was a break from doing real stuff, So I'm thankful and happy that we were able to provide you with some type of levity while you're over there in very trying circumstances, and just everyone, people said it inspired. Like I've seen the word inspiration a lot. That's something I never imagined.
And get us through the hard times I'm seeing here. And I want to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to cook on my own. You guys don't need to stick for this, guys. Please, you've given me much more time than I ever thought. I wanted you guys to come in.
I want to hear what you have to say. But before you go, I just want to say this tie was for my grandfather. It was from him when he died in '93. I went to Africa for the funeral, and they gave us possessions of his. So I wore this today for the kind of the completion.
I didn't know that. Where was it? Was this in Benin?
Yeah. My grandfather in Benin. So I'd never worn the tie, and I was looking in the closet today, and I said, I'm gonna wear my grandfather's tie.
Love
and have him be part
Benin.
of
We
that.
have Benin in the family. Godmother of one of our children, Francesca's godmother is from Benin, and we love our family from Benin.
I didn't know that.
So that's good. Yeah. And Bomani, you spent
Spent a year in Nigeria.
Many years in Nigeria. Yeah.
So you're right next door.
That's right next door. I remember, the city I remember most clearly in Nigeria was Benin City. It took me a long time to grasp the idea. Like once I found out that Benin was a country, it just didn't really make a lot of sense to me. But I want to say also, JD, the people who say things like, while they served and stuff like that, thank you for allowing us to help you in those situations. And for those of you who tell us that like you watched us when you were in middle school or elementary school, you could have kept that shit to yourself.
Oh no! Stop it! Stop it! About the service members now, I'm seeing that we're having.
All you had to do was say thank you, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, mute. About the service members. I know we're on, in the armed forces, and I have personally been to Walter Reed and did events there, and it's always been touching to know. Right? Can you imagine being all over the world and having a taste of home is great. And I would apply that to everybody watching. I recognize we're an escape. I know that. I know how entertaining our show could be and how you would want it to be, the debates and everything. But I wanted the show to be everything, just everything, not just an escape, but also I wanted it to be real in reality. And I guess that's what I'm getting in some of these comments that worked with you as well. And I hope you feel that way. Started watching while I was on active duty. Yeah, I love hearing that. You got to have the human element. I feel that way. Someone asked earlier, what did you say when you were with the president in the Oval Office? Well, let me just say this. We've had multiple presidents.
Okay.
Bomani, are you going to sign off, or are you doing a presidential thing? All right. Jay, you can stay.
Dinner time, brother. Dinner time.
Dinner time. I know it is. All right. I'm going to come up and see you a little bit when you move. Oh, I think I lost Jay too. It's okay. It's cool. Jay can stay for this.
I'll for this.
So we're doing one of the shows. It was PTI more specifically, but it was the Bush administration, and we had a technical difficulty, and we heard from the White House. And the president was like, "What's going on with the feed?" or whatever you wound up saying. So that was great. And then, in the Obama administration, I had a couple of chances, there. The conversation. All right. So there's a better conversation. It wasn't in the Oval Office. It was actually at another part in the White House, whatever. It was the night after, Jay. You'll remember this moment. I can't remember what series it was in, but it was Indiana versus Cleveland. And Lance Stevenson whispered and then blew air.
No, that was against. I think it was against the Heat. I think when LeBron was in
I'm sorry.
Miami.
Yeah, blew air into LeBron's ear. So one of these things. So, there's my sport guy. Look, it's important to be clear here. Whatever the conversation.
Let me be clear.
Yeah, but we're talking about the series because it's great, and he's asking me about Heat versus Pacers, and we're talking about whatever it is. But it was clear he watched maybe the first part of the game. So now I'm describing, and then this amazing moment, and I'm telling the president of the United States about one man whispering and blowing into another man's ear, and he has no idea that it happened in the game. And now how ridiculous this is. And I'm just,
what a thing to talk to the president
What a
about.
thing to be talking to the president about at that point.
So, Tony, did I ever tell you the only thing I said to an active president?
Mhm.
So when I was working at the Post, Washington Post, I got invited to the Chicago Bulls, had their championship visit to the White House. So I went, and Clinton is talking about, how much Hillary loves the Bulls and this, Bulls that. Meanwhile, they're on a collision course to play the Washington Bullets, as they were called then, in the first round of the playoffs. And so after all this, so the ceremony ends and Clinton's going down the line shaking his hand. So I said, Mr. President, if it's the Bullets against the Bulls, who will you be rooting for? And he keeps going, he's shaking hands, and I'm thinking, did he just blow me off? And then finally he says, I'm not answering that one. And I realized you can't get a politician
to answer
anything. Right?
I
thought maybe I should have asked a better question to the leader of the free world.
We did an episode of PTI with Dick Gephardt and John McCain. That was not PTI. It was PTI-ified, right? They talked some sports. I don't know even what it was for. It could have been for ESPN. It must have been for ESPN. But, I mean, this was a time when you could have,
politicians.
Simple type of. So I really dug McCain, of course, because they were in studio with me. So now I'm.
He was big into boxing.
He was. So we're getting. I'm giving research now because I was stat boy to McCain, and I really liked him a lot. And Gephardt, Marco Rubio had come by studio, and that was cool. And I knew him to be a sports fan, and now his son is even playing college football. We had a Governor Hickenlooper on the show once, and a Governor Westmore had stopped by the show. So we've had I don't know why. I'll say this here. This is live. I'm not the most political person in the world. I'm not tracking it like everything. I don't know. I'm happy to welcome in any governor or anybody to come see the show and love talking sports. And that was great. And then, got to go to the Oval Office. So this is a picture, again, this is something, people will put their own feelings on, and I'll live with that. It was pretty cool. I would go to the White House and the Oval Office at any opportunity. And in this one, that was when Tony Mike didn't know that picture was taken in the Oval Office. And we had the conversation as we were walking out. So where do we meet the president? Where was that room that we were in? I go, you mean the room with the desk? Yeah. Oh, yeah, the room with the desk. I mean the room that had no wall. It was a little bit more, what would be the shape I would describe it as? Oval? Kornizer? The Oval Office? What did they talk about?
They were in the Oval Office?
There was a lot of golf talk at that moment. It was always about golf.
So the closest I came, I really wanted to meet Obama while he was in office because I knew he was going to be the only sitting president who knew who I was because I knew he watched these shows, right?
No, Bush.
Bush probably did too.
Well, let's just say it. The best thing in athletics any president had ever done, Gerald Ford was an incredible. See, I love it. This is Joe Reali talking. My father loves his presidential trivia. Every year on President's Day, you know what you should do, Anthony? You should rank all the presidents for his athletes every time. He says it like he forgot he said it. So Gerald Ford played at Michigan. Right. I mean, he's got to be the best athlete. And Teddy Roosevelt, we know, is an athlete, and Lincoln, all this stuff. It's Bush's first pitch.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool moment.
I mean, it's Bush's first pitch, Yankee Stadium in the World Series, Yankees Diamondbacks. I was not covering that series because I was already now on PTI. I had covered the 98, 99, and 2000.
That was
3
right
years in the Yankees.
when PTI started, right? PTI started when?
PTI started in 01. So PTI started in October 17th of 01. That season went longer.
After
so that
9/11.
was the first November World Series. So that's when we took over. And Bush threw the first pitch to Todd Green, of all people, who happened to be the backup catcher at the time. But it was the greatest first pitch of all time by anybody, and it was the greatest sporting moment from a president. It has to.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
remember being so
Snipers on the
afraid.
roof.
Yeah. I remember I was like, I hope nobody shoots him while he's out there. Just to see the president right after the
Yes,
worst
you hope
terrorist
nobody
attack in our
shoots him.
history.
Yes.
Because here's the president just walking out in the middle of a field.
Amazing.
And,
It's courageous. It's brave, but more
Yeah.
than that, it was athletic. Oh, I love that moment. Not even close. Obama's March Madness bracketology was always pretty cool.
That was awesome.
I thought
Andy
he would have a
Katz. I
Bette
just saw
Midler
Andy
sing
last
Tony
week.
like Johnny did. Please bring him in here, guys. I want to see. I'll take your questions. Jay, you can. You're not going to out energy me, Jay. I can stay here all night and take questions, and I'm happy to do that for as long as possible. I got Sammy right on the other side of the glass.
Is there one question for me? I'll take one more question before I bounce.
Okay, one more for Adande, and then I'll answer what I remember from being a panelist. The show inspired me. Jay Adande, thoughts on the Pop retirement? Okay, talk about now. This is good. Thoughts on the Pop retirement from Top Tips, and also Jay, you were in a position where you were sideline and working with Pop, with being a relative term. You interviewed a guy who did not want to be interviewed by a sideline reporter before. Please go.
Yeah, I'll talk Pop. So as I've been going through my archive stuff, I found my favorite moment. It was a pivotal moment. And Tony, I think at the core of the story, it gets to some of your core philosophies.
Okay.
And I'll share for the first time in a public setting my key to interviewing Pop. So somebody mentioned it earlier in there. The probably the most famous clip of me with Pop is my first time when the little background on this story, like this is my first time doing sidelines. And as it turns out, the Spurs are playing either Lakers or Clippers or in LA. We have no pre-production meeting. And then we're the second game. All throughout the pregame, Tony, I'm talking back and forth to the production truck. There's a little button you press on the microphone so you can speak to the truck and it doesn't go out over the airwaves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so every time I'd spoken in that microphone, it had been speaking to the truck. I was supposed to do my first little intro hit, but because the first game went long, they joined us in progress after that window to do my hit. So as it turns out now, the first thing I'm going to do as a sideline reporter is talk to Popovich. And not just talk to Popovich after his team shot like 6 for 24 in the first quarter or something like that. And so there was nothing to talk about other than the team missed shots, right?
Yeah.
So we get there and no one's ever seen this. This would have been a great clip. So I basically go out and say, I'm here with Coach Popovich, please, be gentle. And he puts his arm around me and he's smiling. It's like, hey, buddy, is this your first rodeo? He's all smiling and joking. And I'm talking. I ask the first question and they get in my ear. They say, you're on the talkback button. Jay, you're on the talkback button. So we had to start again.
Oh.
So that smile that was on his face just
was totally wiped.
The only thing he hates more than doing those interviews is having to do it again. So now I'm cooked. So now I lost him, and I think I could have asked him the best question ever, and it would have gone sideways. Fast forward to maybe a year or two later, we're doing a game. They're playing the Warriors, and I get stuck in traffic. So I used to take my own car, not go with the rest of the announcing team because I wanted to stay after the game, do some reporting and do some stuff for ESPN.com. So I went the wrong way. The key is to go the back way to get on the Bay Bridge. I went the other way, got stuck in traffic. It took me like 45 minutes to cross Market Street. And now I'm sweating. Now I'm going to miss the pregame interview or pregame off the record conversation with Pop, which is like a good chance to soften him up. And I'm literally sweating. And then I finally told myself, and some of our servicemen will appreciate this, I'm like, dude, chill. You're not parachuting behind open enemy lines. You're talking to a basketball coach. And so we get there and I just relax,
That's pretty good. I would apply this to everybody who's in our comments and watching. You're going to invent the moment that you're in to be as big as you can imagine. But it's always just you and somebody else, another person who's equally scared. I remember, I just told you guys, I didn't go on a date in high school. Part of it was because I was about 5 foot 90 pounds. When I met Sammy, I was 23 years old. She's right on the other side of the glass right here. That was my one chance ever to have a shot, because I finally grown up to an adult, But my point is, The girls would have been just as scared to talk to me as I was to them, right? And that's not true of Pop in that instance, but in things that you build up to, you build up in your life. And somebody on the other side is just like, oh man, I've got a stomach ache right now. And is there a bathroom near here? Or somebody else, I mean, there's always something going on. It's a way to kind of take it down a notch. That's the imagining somebody in their underwear type when you give a speech. The lounge is always open for those who loved it. Something will live with countless people. Jay, I love you. I know. You've been here for an hour. You don't need to do this, my man.
I'm heading out. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for
man.
watching the show. Thanks for joining us here. Thank you for all your kind words. Tony, we'll talk
My
again
man, we're
soon.
going to have another dinner. We had dinner last
thank
month.
you
It was
so
great.
much.
I'm going to be out next month, and I'll see you then. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Ciao. All right. I'm here, guys. You got me all night if you need it. All right. I'm here. This has been therapeutic for me. I'm not sad. I was never sad. I was sad that I was, that first time I heard when I read a story. You read a story saying your job's about to go away. That's a nature of this business. I can live with that. I can understand what it is. But I could also be honest with myself. Oh, I was disappointed or sad. And then you get that meeting. If you've all been in a meeting before when someone's broken up with you, that was my first. That's the first time. And there's a different feeling to that. But I've had 4 or 5 months to think about how I want to do this. And I've had 4 or 5 months to think about how to go out specifically. The Goodfellas shot, I had my brother and my brothers-in-law and my cousins and my nieces in the crowd today and some other people, my best friends. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. They brought heads on sticks. The old PTI gag. Look at this, huh? This is, that's pretty good. So that's what they brought. They all lined up with that. This is the mute button right here that I carry around when I do speaking engagements. You guys remember Staples Easy button? That's what this is right here too. I'm happy to take any and all of your questions. Somebody had just said favorite episode ever. Okay. Well, I'm going to comply this. My favorite episode ever is an April Fool's edition of Around the Horn. I can't tell you the year, but if it was in that newsroom, it had to be 2008 or 2009. And I knew I wanted to. I'm a silly guy. You never saw me really dress up for Halloween because I thought the host of the show needed to corral so much craze that when I was that one year Seinfeld, I just ratcheted it up a little bit. But I would have been doing that. And April Fools, I didn't like. PTI does a great job with it, but I don't like telling falsehoods. With when you're doing news reporting, right? They make up a story when your job is to tell the story. That's not a betrayal, but it's a little bit too much for me. So I'm walking to work that day. We got nothing for April Fools. And I'm like, we got to have something. I want to be wacky. I want to be crazy. So that's when I, in my head, begin to plot out the backwards episode of Around the Horn, which is a playoff, a backwards episode of Seinfeld, which was the sitcom from 10 years earlier, But I'm thinking about this in my 20-minute walk to work, and now I got to explain it to Solomon and Bard, and they're looking at me like I have a million heads, and it's complex, right? But it's really not that complex. We're just going to score the show. So I started by just flipping the computer system we had, EMPS, and saying whatever the D block is, put the D block first, the C block second, the B block's third, and the A block's first. But I wanted to do the fun stuff like the paper toss. I wanted someone to throw it at me, and then I wanted to unfold it and put it down. And I wanted to say we were just on a 23.5-hour break. Then I wanted to get the FaceTime to somebody, from somebody, and then do showdown 3, showdown 2, showdown 1, have the scores go from 3, 2, 1, have the scores go from 35 to 30, and all these funny things. I remember I didn't buy it. Maybe Josh must have went out and got like a lollipop or a popsicle for Blackstone, and it went from small to big. We got 4 of them. You understand what I'm saying? So we had that going backwards. That to me was my favorite episode. It was creative. It was work for me. I'll tell you, there are episodes where we would tape out of order because we were waiting on news to break. So this is the scored show, right? So buy or sell, we would tape first, and then we would wait on the news to cross at 3:15 and tape the A block, the first word. Now, that would be normal on any show except for a show with the scoring system, which means I would start buy or sell and have to tell what the score was in advance. So then I reverse engineered this, and I had the panelists tell me, what do you think you scored in the first block of the show? Was it 14? Was it 12? And I would have to then, I used to like those episodes because then we would tape out of order. I would have to get them to that number. So then, of course, I think you're going to know which panelist would do this, but one panelist would get to that number and then he'd start cursing at me or coming up with the worst argument, insulting my Italian leather pants or whatever. It was Woody. And he would bait me into muting him and ruining the number. That's kind of how he did it there. Those are my favorite episodes. I like the silly ones. Can that boy take down Hembo? At a time of my life, I could take down, I was right there with Howie Schwab. I wrote trivia questions for the 2-minute drill. Howie and I was the writer, and Howie was just brought in right before the show went to air. And we would be the two people who would sit in the chair and play the role of the person who was to be the contestant on the show. And if we couldn't get it, those questions would typically be thrown out. That was a time in my life where I could do that. Kids, I think, changed everything for me. My head had to be filled with so many other things, and now I'm sure Hembo could take me. And in all honesty, I would give him that one. I forgot about Stump the Schwab. Stump the Schwab's a great show, guys. Sports trivia is great. I'm going to be doing it on here in my community spaces, wherever they may be, YouTube live forum. I want you guys to be there for that. And then I'm happy to do it further. Digital shows. These are part of the things I'm cooking up right now. I'll be happy to tell you about everything I'm cooking up maybe at another time. Right now, I want to talk about horn. Yes, trivia. Yes. Okay. I'm with you. Dang it, Tony, like a friend you grew up with. I am a friend you grew up with. You grew up. I mean, I've been doing the show for 23 years. You grew. I grew. We're friends. Let's do it. Favorite sports moment for me, Tony. My favorite sports moment. Well, let me answer this one. As a broadcaster or a reporter, I was working radio. The greatest game I ever covered. I covered the Yankees for my radio station in 98, 99, and 2000. But something happened with the Mets beat reporter. Not something bad, but they couldn't get to the game. It was a Mets Atlanta playoff game in 1999, NLCS. And it is the third inning, and I somehow heard, I was the station manager, whatever that means, right? I somehow heard we didn't have a reporter at the game. I'm in the Bronx. I can get to Queens, and I got to the Mets game in about the 7th inning. Mets Atlanta, NLCS. I'm blanking on what game number this was, but you're going to be able to research it very quickly. So I only going to catch the last 2 innings of the game. I'm going to interview the players, except that game went into extra innings. And that game was the greatest game I ever covered. It's the Robin Ventura walk-off grand slam single game. He hits a grand slam to win in an extras, but he gets mobbed on his way around first and never touches, and only one of the runs counts. And I got to interview after that. That was one of my favorite sports moments as a reporter. 99 game 5. Thank you very much. Of the NLCS. That was the greatest game I ever covered. I covered David Cohen's perfect game. Now, this was good because the year before, it may not have been Mother's Day, but it may have been a Sunday in May, and maybe I missed Mother's Day. The year before, 98, a Sunday game, I did not cover, and David Wells threw a perfect game. And I was just out of my mind, I missed it. Remember going to the stadium the next home game and talking to everybody. It was like, it was amazing. How could you miss it? In that next game, it was Yankees-Orioles, and Armando Benitez drills Tino Martinez in the back with a pitch. He had a spiderweb black and blue for 3 weeks afterwards. It was the size of his back, Benitez hits him, and this is one of the great brawls of all time. Darryl Strawberry came in and hit Benitez with a huge shot. I remember Graham Lloyd and Jeff Nelson, who were both about 6'7", coming and running out. Graham Lloyd, who's Australian, left-handed sidewinding reliever, also punched like that. He punched. I just remember him coming in like this. He punched like he threw. It was very odd. That was a great brawl, and I was my first time ever on ESPN interviewing George Steinbrenner afterwards. I wasn't on, but my hand was on, and the WFUV mic was on. That was a proud moment. Next year, I got the Cohen perfect game. I still kept my score card from that. That was a fun game to have covered. That was pretty great. Someone asked about the 3-1 comeback for the Cavs against Golden State. I have a story here that's not so great, but it turned out to be great. So this is the NBA Finals. I mean, I've taken how many vacation days in my life? Not many, even at this time. I didn't take any the first 10 years. I know this. And then, friend's wedding, and then I got married. And of course, I became someone who had a family and I would take vacations. But this is, of course, the greatest comeback in the history of the sport. But I didn't foresee that coming. I left to go to Italy with Sammy and Francesca when it was 3-1. Now, I would not have done this. This wasn't a planned vacation, but Sammy had business in Bassano del Grappa, which is in the Veneto region of Italy. It's near Venice. And I mean, my wife's doing work in Italy. I'm taking that trip. I know it's the NBA Finals. This is going to be a gentleman's sweep. We could see this coming. And as we're leaving, Draymond's getting suspended or whatever it is, So we go and we're in Italy and it's wonderful. And, I'm loving every second of it. We stayed in Giudecca in Venice. If you're ever in Venice, there's, it's of course it's an amazing city. It's an amazing city of islands. But my Italian is very poor. But even in my delusional head, I'm like, it's good enough for me to be able to live in an apartment for a week in Giudecca, which is one of the islands, which is what we did. I was able to get by. Francesca was speaking Italian with little kids. Ciao nonni, screaming at grandparents in the street. That was wonderful. We had the best ravioli ever while we were there. We also stayed at a farmhouse in Asolo, Asolo, if you're ever in that area, which is in the Veneto region. Amazing. We stayed with a family. I watched soccer with the dad. That was great too. Long story short, now I'm sick to my stomach because it's the greatest comeback ever. Game 7. I booked the flight and I flew back home. I left the trip in Italy to go be hosting Horn for Game 7, which then enabled Pablo, who was filling in for me, to go fly out to the game and cover the game. So something good came out of that. I'm going to start to take one last look at these comments here, guys. I've enjoyed every single minute of this. This is not the last one of these. Rank your favorite sports. Well, I was a baseball guy growing up. I loved it. I covered the Yankees all those years, how could you not? I love the NFL. But my favorite games to go to now are New York Liberty games with the family. Outside of injury, what is the most disappointing sports moment for you? Disappointing? The Yankees losing in 2004. I was a broadcaster at that moment. The Yankees losing in 99. I was a kid, and I got very upset when 97. 99, they won. 97, when Cleveland beat the Yankees in the ALCS. That was a tough one for me, too. First sports memory was my first game, the Yankees. I know the exact date. It was July 3rd, 1983. I asked my dad to go to a Yankee game for birthday, and he took me. He said, "You want to go on your birthday?" My birthday's July 4th, 1983. I said, "No, none of my birthday. Let's go the day before." July 4th, 1983, Dave Righetti threw a no-hitter against the Red Sox at Yankee Stadium. I would have gone to a no-hitter for my first game, but I always missed it. Guys, these comments are beautiful. You're beautiful. We're going to be beautiful together. There's more smiles to come. I hope you feel this way. I mean, you may be sad around the Horns ending. Please, if that's your feeling, feel sad. I feel this was a triumphant run for this show. I feel there's going to be more triumph coming. And I feel like I can connect with you guys more in so many more places. So if you have the opportunity, come see me on my website, TonyReali.com. It's my first go around with the website. I don't know what it is, but we will get some technology up there on that website to connect. That's going to take you to some forums where we can do some debates, I think, and where we can do some trivia, I think, and we can maybe watch games together. I think that's going to be in play. If that's something you'd be interested in, I'm happy to do it with you guys. And my YouTube page, I'm going to be cooking. I think I'm going to be cooking for a while. And then I'm going to be doing some of the biggest sporting events in the world. There's no doubt in my mind that's going to be there. And how great would it be to live in podcasts and digital for a while and do some TV? And I've done one show for 23 years. I'm going to do a lot of things now going forward. But it's always going to be about us, I really feel connection with you guys. I hope you feel it with me. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm going to be happy to work. So one thing I want to go away here with, going to miss you, man. I just said I'm not going anywhere. Gonna miss you too, Becky. I'll miss you, and I'll see you soon. Much love. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. I know. I'm a big feeler, and I'm not feeling sad. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling triumphant. I'm feeling wonderful. I put another Goodfellas video out there. You will be missed. I'm not going anywhere. Okay. Today I woke up and I decided to do my first little foray into a day in the life, which is I'm gonna love cooking on YouTube. I was making YouTube videos before people were making YouTube videos. I'll be honest. All those great Around the Horn videos that you may have seen about tributes to the TV shows I like or the behind the scenes. I mean, that's what we were doing. ESPN took the keys away for that. Now there's no keys they could take away for now. I'm ready to give you guys the keys to the kingdom. So something I tried to do today. You tell me if this is what people are doing. I'm gonna do my own thing. I appreciate that there are trends out there, and Day in the Life happens to be that. And there are other things. I'm going to do my own thing in my spaces. But this was something that I wanted to do because I wanted to document what today was. So what you'll see here is how I woke up this morning and then how I got to the studio and then even some behind the scenes of the show you may have watched today. Eventually I always like to put music on things and everything, but this is a first look. No one else has seen this before. So if you're here, this is a Reali exclusive and you can expect more Reali exclusives. I'll give you guys everything. And there's no exclusives with me, but, Parakeet, if we got that, or, Coca, if we have that, we're going to say goodbye now to the YouTube live. But hang around for this. I'm going to watch this with you because I haven't seen this yet. If we have the video of a day in the life and a life in a day of me, we can start
Day in the life
now.
of me, Tony Reali, for the show finale of Around the Horn. 23 years, 4,953 episodes. Crazy numbers, crazy life. Fake shot warning. Somebody was supposed to surprise wake me up on camera, but they slept in. I've been taping mouth years before people taped mouth. Francesca, Enzo, Antonella, they got to eat. Enzo wakes up first, always trying to sneak in some screen time. Coffee, never drank it really till I had kids. My energy doesn't need it, but it became daily date with wife. So now we're a Jura family, and apparently that is important to know. Very important. Manja. I don't eat before a show ever anymore. I was fasting before people were fasting too. Going to be a nice challenge when I get a late night show. So more coffee for your boy. Radio interview with my friend and mentor, Tony Kornheiser. He's making fun of me that somebody called me handsome in an interview. We take compliments now. That's okay. It's all right. I work out every day. Now completely different than I did all my life. Functional patterns, precise, intentional movements work better for me. I gave the kids a daddy day. No school. We're signing off this one as Team Reali. Last pre-show call with the team. I'll miss this a lot. Can you imagine being able to talk sports with the greatest of the greats every day? Commute to work. Reali's by land, Reali's by sea. This was always fun. Great-grandparents came over on the boat. We keep the tradition. About that, my grandfathers worked at South Street Seaport, Pier 15, unloading bananas off boats for the first part of their life. Today, I'm signing off a world-watched TV show from Pier 17, South Street Seaport. Their seeds, our deeds. Here it is, the studio. Your family and friends coming out to support you, a top-notch feeling. I'll pay these hugs forward the rest of my days. Camera crew is going to get on camera today, too. They're going to have them for a little treat. I'll be happy to show you guys them. But this day is finale day. And with finality, you want to hit your notes and steps and all the right way. But I'm just trying to be present and enjoy it. There are no elephants in this room. I love to talk, and I talk to love. And as impossibly cheesy as that is, I did it for 23 years on this show, talking GOAT athletes and GOAT games with the GOAT journalists and broadcasters. Who will I miss most? My team in Washington, D.C. Producers, Aaron Solomon, Josh Bard, Caroline Willett, Jeff Weiner, Tierney Corrigan. Directors, John Dursey, Miriam Leger. The bones of this great show are these people. It's all triumph, though. I met you all on this show, and what comes next is even better. Around the Horn, series finale, 5 o'clock, ESPN. I'm on YouTube Live right after 5:30. Stop on by. Let me tell you what you mean to me. This was a day in the life, and a life in a day. I'm Tony Reali.
All right, YouTube Live, thank you very much for the love. Should I keep the paper toss wherever I go next? Absolutely. I'm the originator. Thank you.